Danielle, hey, it's wonderful to have you. Let's start with this. What in the world is it that you do?
That's a good question that I ask myself on most days. On my title, first and foremost, I'm owner of Everwell Financial, which is a privately held wealth management firm where I strive to focus on the structure of a private family office where we really become the general contractor of someone's financial life. And I use the general contractor analogy, Mike, because I touch upon most areas of someone's financial house.
Yeah.
Cash flow is honestly the foundation. So cash flow now while someone's working, building their business, their real estate portfolio, retirement income, Social Security, pensions, other passive income they have in retirement, and then the roof. So I'll review things with clients that no one else does. Car insurance, homeowners, their group benefits, 401 life insurance, legal documents. No one knows when they're going to have a bad day. No one knows when they're going to have a life event. So we take time to really spend to make sure that people understand what they have. A lot of people in the world don't understand how their car insurance works, how their homeowners insurance works. So the proudest moment I have is when someone understands what uninsured motorist coverage is on their car insurance. And the best part is I don't sell car insurance, but making sure they and then we get to what people typically think I do: investments, savings accounts, retirement accounts. How are we paying down debt? I'm a bit of a tax nerd. I love teaching people the difference. I know. I don't look like it, but I am.
I love it.
I know, but I love teaching people the difference between a marginal effective tax rate. So I think if people actually understood how their tax brackets worked, we could have better conversations with people, better planning. There wouldn't be so much angst around tax season. And I think that's the biggest part about what I do with clients is helping take that emotional guilt, angst, anxiety, panic, and bring it down a little bit through education and service and relationships. That's what I know.
That was a lot to digest. But my favorite part was the GC analogy, and I think that's. I mean, I'm 57 now, and my income has gone up over the last number of years, and along with that have come a lot of problems that I wasn't aware of. And I go to one person to deal with my insurance. Then I go to another person to deal with my trust. Then I go to another person who deals with my investments. So what you're saying is you're more of a holistic. Let's look at everything. You're not going to sell me on upgrading my insurance or things like that, but you could be more of a counselor of, hey, Art, I want to use my money efficiently, and part of that efficiency I have learned, and this is why I like doing this podcast, I have learned that deferring taxes or having a strategy that allows you to use money in a more efficient way, more efficient for the economy. So deploying the cash rather than giving it to the government, who hasn't been a really great steward of my money so far. It is very difficult to find people that are knowledgeable, and can help, that are not getting a percentage of whatever it is. Does that make sense?
It does, and I will say most people, I love what you said about giving money back to the government, because I think first and foremost, my major job is helping the economy continue to spin.
Yes.
So like during COVID, when people were like, what do I do? And for all of my clients who had great passive income sources, pensions, Social Security values, where income wasn't an issue, my advice was continue to spend, support the economy, support the local restaurants, the local businesses. I think advisors as a whole, we don't give enough credit that I help the economy spend by teaching clients how to use, and I say it efficiently and effectively, how to create and spend wealth efficiently and effectively. And, a little known fact is for all people who are like maxing out 401ks, IRAs, after 7 years in retirement, most people have paid back to the government all that they have saved in deferring that tax. So if you live more than 7 years in retirement, then you're actually paying more in taxes. And what a lot of people also don't understand, Mike, is how taxes impact what you pay on Social Security and your taxes, your Medicare premiums. So what I like most about what I do is teaching people the intricacies of all the decisions that they're making because most people are product sold. My first phone call this morning was with a lovely couple who they have a brother-in-law in the business who sold them some insurance policies and then they did some loans. But the brother-in-law didn't come back to say, well, here's how you clean it up, or here's how you fix it, or here's how you pay it back. And they were close to blowing up. So, when you're working with and we like to throw the word fiduciary around, but the way I define fiduciary is someone who's taking a look at every part of someone's financial life. A lot of advisors want to focus on the AUM, want to focus on the insurance portfolio, but we have to focus on the overall health of the person, the couple, the financial house, and build that relationship.
Right, right. And not just where they are right now, but where it is they want to be.
Correct.
I
And
like that.
having those goals and understanding that there is always more than one way to get to where they want to go. And understanding that, once again, to that couple this morning, they had some debt that they didn't want. And they're in such a rush. Most Americans are in such a rush to better themselves, which is great. However, they didn't get themselves into this situation overnight, and they're not going to get out of it overnight. So helping them build patience and a timeline and what's realistic. I think that's the other key, Mike, is being realistic with goals and expectations.
Yes.
And what's reality versus what kind of they're sold on TV or through the media.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. What their perception is versus what's really attainable. You mentioned family office, and I hear family office a lot of times. My high net worth clients speak family office fluently, but the regular person, an average income earner, $150,000, has no idea what the benefits are of working with the family office. Would you mind elaborating a little bit?
I'd love to. Um, so the way a traditional private family office structure works, it is for families that have a net worth of anywhere between 5, 10, $15 million. And you typically have someone, a team of individuals paying your bills, managing your assets, watching out for your taxes. So basically the entire financial management of someone down to like paying your mortgage is handled by a company for you. So I take a step back for individuals, and how we mimic that is we can help you get your legal documents done. We help people manage their insurance portfolios. We can help with lending in some capacity through where they're saving and teaching people. And I think that's another interesting part that we should talk about is where should your viewers really be saving if they want to leverage their assets? So that's an
Right.
interesting thing.
Right.
So
We'll get there. Yeah.
Okay. So, but helping people take some of that responsibility off their plate so they can build their business. They can work their way up the corporate ladder. They can manage childcare. They can enjoy what they've accomplished because they have a team of individuals who they can pick up a phone and say, Diane, Carol, Paul, Felicia, I need bank statements for this, or I need to update my will for this, or I'm looking for a new accountant. So when it comes to, we've created our own version of a private family office where you don't have to have 5, 10, 15 million to have that relationship. Because once again, going back to that general contractor analogy, I will know more about people's financial lives than probably anyone else because I marry the numbers with the personal, the numbers with the emotions, and we can put all of that together. And so when they're calling me and asking for recommendations of a realtor, or how are we financing this? Or, I have the great opportunity to buy this practice. What do you think about this? I can put everything into context for them and then help them orchestrate that. And they never do it alone. That's the other thing is, so many people are told to do things and they're set off into the wilderness on their own to complete the adventure on their own. And we're walking there with our clients hand by hand.
Well, you know the path. I mean, that's the best part of it. So how did you learn this?
My career started really young. In high school, I actually was a a receptionist at a credit union in Washington, D.C., where I'm originally from. And funny story, the debit cards had just come onto the marketplace. So the concept that you had to have the money in the account before you spent it hadn't really set in with people. They thought it was more like a credit card. So I had a lot of phone calls where people were very upset, very irate because they had overdrawn accounts and were being charged fees. So I
Yes.
learned great people skills. On the phone during those summers working at the credit union. But then also their number one loan, this was a federal credit union. You had salaried workers guaranteed a paycheck every 2 weeks. And their most popular loan product was a $100 loan till payday. That they just needed $100 of cash and at an 8% interest rate. So 108 would be taken out on the next payday and they got $100. And to me, that was flabbergasting because
Yeah.
people had guaranteed paychecks, but yet they couldn't budget. So from that, I went to college, got my bachelor's degree in psychology, which I think works perfectly in what I do
Yes.
now.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And then I do have a master's degree from NYU, but it is in journalism. And so I graduated in December of 2001, right after 9/11. I was in the city for 9/11, put a lot of things into perspective for me. So I moved to Southwest Florida to work for Wink Television and as a news producer for 2 years. Signed a 2-year contract. Realized it was not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and thought about getting back into banking because in Southwest Florida in the early 2000s, banks were expanding rapidly in the area. So in that path, I actually met with someone at my original firm, and it was intriguing to me. And I liked helping people. I liked the idea of setting my own work schedule, making as little or as much as I wanted. And so fast forward 21 years, I was with my previous firm for 16. During COVID, I actually left and opened my own office and went fully
Goodness.
independent. So actually, you say, oh goodness, I think it was the perfect time to make a business move, truthfully.
Yeah.
And so, what has been the most exhilarating part of the last 5 years is bringing all of my clients over with me. So, everyone we were able to reach out and communicate with, all but one person transitioned to my new firm with us. So, every year we have a celebratory party, and this November it's our 5th year of being independent. And I feel, and the clients feel it too, that we're growing together. So, they're
Yeah.
excited to see how we've grown, the staff that we've added, the extra benefits that we've been added for clients of Everwell. So a very varied path, but I think it was the perfect path for how I got to where I am.
I love that. Now, did you change the client experience from the place you were before to being independent?
I did. I was able to enhance it. I added a few things that I wasn't able to do at my previous firm that I do now. Some programs, use of technology. So it was a complete upgrade from where I was previously. And being independent became very important because I wanted to truly control the voice, the mission, and the purpose for my
Yeah,
practice.
I can relate to that. Yeah, it's what I found is some companies that have been around for a long time do it the way they have always done it because it has always been that way,
And it's always
especially when it
worked.
comes. Well, it has, but when new things, so for real estate, social media, uh, technology, being able to leverage technology so that you reduce friction, so that the client experience is easier, and yet in real estate, we still have people in the industry that used to carry around MLS books, and technology is not their forte. So, which is totally fine. Everybody can work in their own little rut, stay in their lane. But what I found is that the faster you adapt and adjust to technologies that are emerging, the further ahead you are. So I love that. What's an ideal client for you? Who who do you like to
And
help?
I love to help what I call high functioning women. And I use the term high functioning women, professionals, families, couples, but in a perfect world, high functioning women. So that's either our C-suites, our business owners, women climbing up the corporate ladder, 35 and above, and either even those high functioning women who are running a household, who may be helping a partner or a spouse with a business or a part-time business. So typically women are, we all know this, are in control of the household finances right now. Women own a majority of real estate. They're the majority of new buyers of real estate in the nation right now. I myself, with two of my best friends, just bought two condo hotels out on Sanibel in Florida. So I really love working high professional women, whether single, divorced, widowed, married, household income of about 200 or more, and especially those who haven't put pen to paper in regards to what a retirement plan looks like for them. A lot of people give it lip service, but I tell clients who go through my planning process, whether you're 25 or 65, everyone knows what their current retirement plan is, good, better, or best.
Yeah.
And what they can do differently along the way to improve that, to expedite it, to delay it, what it looks like when we add college into it for children. And we always come back to that. So that I think it's also a little bit different, that we are always attacking the end goal because that's what everyone thinks they're coming here for. But in reality, it's also making sure that we're keeping them motivated on staying true to who they are. Because a lot of people won't sit with an advisor, Mike, because their biggest fear, and I know this from 21 years in the industry, is I'm going to tell them, don't take the vacation, don't buy the real estate, don't go out, don't go buy the purse. I love
Yes.
doing all of those things, but it's
Right.
all in equilibrium. And how do we do them and when do we do them? And so what I love to do most is helping people achieve what they want to do right now while still showing them they can achieve the end goal.
Right.
That
Right.
doesn't
And
happen either or.
no, and I see it because I deal with in coaching, we come across, and this is industry specific, obviously, because of what I do. I see it in the loan officer world, and I also see it in the real estate world. I would say I would see it a little bit more on the mortgage side of it, but extremely driven women that know exactly what they want to do, um, and some of them amazing at it. At least from an outsider's perspective, the way they manage everything is just, I'm overwhelmed because it's hard enough and we don't have kids, we don't have pets. The kids are grown, it's just it's literally just the two of us, and it can be overwhelming being a high performing agent doing all of these things. These women have young kids. The kids are going to school. They're attending the events. They're running teams. They're producing millions of dollars worth of loans or real estate. It blows me away, actually. And so what you're saying is, instead of them having to break out the checkbook once a month and go through all of the bills and balance and did I put enough money into the 401? What are my other options? And that has been a big challenge for a few of them because I know them very well personally. And the biggest game changer was finding somebody that they could offload that to, because the way they have found success has been finding key people to work in their business that could take the things that didn't necessarily produce income but had to be done. So the client follow up, the lead intake, all of those things. So leverage has been their key. And then they just said, hey, here's one more aspect of my life that's extremely important, that I can just have somebody else handle. You mentioned somebody to make sure that the taxes are paid, to make sure that the car loans are paid, all of those things. People don't think about it, but it's really easy to forget, especially if you own a property free and clear, to
Mhm.
forget to pay the taxes to the county. And the last thing you need is to find that the county's taking,
Sweet.
going to the courthouse steps to take your property. So, um, so I think that's wonderful. Now, are there benefits to investment strategies within the family office that the general public might not have access to? And specifically, I'd like you to deal with the use of being able to borrow money against assets, because I think my high net worth clients have the ability to pay. We're going to go show some $3 million houses today, and they'll buy the house for cash, and then they'll turn around and they'll take out, but they're not going to go to Rocket Mortgage and pay ridiculous fees. They simply turn to their people and say, hey, I've got $5 million in stock. I want to go with the Goldman Sachs line of credit. Let's take 3 million. I'm going to pay, 4.75% on that. These are things that the general public, even if they had the money, don't realize that they could use. So, are there things with you that allow them access to capital or investment strategies that they may not just find?
Yes, yes, and yes. So I would say first and foremost for all of your anyone in the real estate world that if they're looking to create the next generation of real estate buyers, is to work with all the children of those $3 to $5 million buyers right now and teaching them where they should be saving to be able to leverage. Because I find a lot of people want to buy that investment property. They want to buy the bigger house. They want to buy the commercial building, but in their head, they have to sell another asset to purchase it. And
That's
that's
a
not
trap.
true.
That's a
Correct.
trap. Yes.
Exactly. So, however, where most people are taught to save is in their 401ks, their IRAs, their 403bs, their simples, their SEPs. Worst place in the world if you want to use leverage because you can't. You cannot create a line of credit currently under IRS standards, and it doesn't look like it's going to change. And we can have a whole conversation about that why. So, teaching younger consumers to create their own stock portfolio, to build significant cash in mutual funds, ETFs, life insurance policies, to, don't sell that first starter home. Turn that into a rental property, build equity in that property because you've been saving outside for the next down payment. And so now you've got someone else paying off your first asset that you can then leverage to buy the second home, the third home, the fourth home. And the beautiful part, especially if we take a look at stocks, because that's the world I live in, and if the portfolio is allocated appropriately, sometimes that stock portfolio can pay back the loan interest for you. So the interest
Yes.
isn't even coming out of your own cash flow. I love this part because the term is you become your own banker. Because as long as it's not, some complex structured options put call strategy, you
Right.
can lend most to like 60 to 70% of a portfolio value.
Yeah.
So you become your own bank and you just have to go through basically a 2 week application process and as long as the assets are there, no one's going to tell you no. Like
Right.
you don't have to worry about going to a mortgage broker or to a banker and say, well, can I afford this? Are they going to approve me? Or is my credit score right? As long as you have the assets to collateralize, you become your own bank. And there is so much power in that and to be able to act quickly because we all know cash is king. When you can put down 50% or you can say you're a cash buyer or, just being able to leverage assets of you can keep your NVIDIA stock portfolio
Hmm.
and leverage that to buy the dream home because you don't have to sell NVIDIA if it's in an individual account, not a
Right.
retirement account.
All right. Well, plus you avoid paying the taxes, the capital gains on the sale of. I mean, what we're talking about really is what I feel is the most important thing when it comes to financial literacy, and that is the biggest drain on wealth comes down to taxes and short-sightedness, where people do exactly that, and we kind of taught them that.
Can I give an example of that? Because
I'd
I
love it.
was working with a 93-year-old individual. He became my client at 85 and had a portfolio value of like $9 million. And unfortunately, and he was still working. He worked up until the age of 90 in his import business. It was amazing.
Love it.
And unfortunately, once he stopped working, Alzheimer's and dementia kicked in faster than anyone could have anticipated. And his family chose to provide round-the-clock care, upwards of close to $300,000 a year in the Palm Beach area. Okay, 3 round-the-clock nurses checking on him. And because of the strategy of how we paid for his care out of his IRA, we created a portfolio value we basically spent down his IRA money. He didn't pay taxes on the IRA because we used it for healthcare deductions. The
Yeah.
trust, which was valued at $6 million, continued to appreciate, and his daughters got that at a step up in basis. And so basically, his daughters inherited a portfolio of close to $8 million tax-free because of
Sure.
how we did the tax planning. Now, he wasn't getting that from, I can't say the other firm's advisor's name, and he wasn't getting that from his tax preparer because I think where people also fall short on their CPAs, most that I have seen, they're there to save you money on taxes this year. Most are not strategic long-term planners. And they're not thinking next year, 5 years, 10 years down the road. And most of them, frankly, just don't have the time to sit and do that because they're just so overwhelmed with tax preparation and meeting deadlines.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. What's something that a listener could implement today that would have an effect on their financial future?
Ooh, lots of different things. A little trick that I like, if people have health savings accounts and you don't need to spend out of that health savings account, I would max out a health savings account as much as you can every year and use that to pay for your health costs in retirement. So basically, you're creating a separate tax-free account to
Yeah.
pay for your medical expenses in retirement because the average couple on just Medicare copays and prescription drugs we'll spend about $250,000 total on just those healthcare costs. I'm not talking
Wow.
about the new teeth. I'm not talking about the new eye procedures, getting your eyelids done so they're not drooping and you have better vision. Just,
Getting close.
yeah, I know it happens. It's my most popular procedure. People are coming to me for saying, Danielle, I have to have the eyelid surgery. And just understanding that dental and eye coverage isn't included in Medicare. So
Right.
build up those health savings accounts because you get the tax deduction on it. It grows tax free and you can use it in retirement for that. So that's significant. The second would be really understanding their tax structure and if there are ways that should they be doing Roth conversions, should they be gifting money right now? Because truthfully, for most of our viewers, Mike, they may be in the lowest tax brackets of their lives. At some point in time, the taxes will have to adjust up. And so I have a lot of clients who are making some big decisions to enjoy this continued tax structure that we're in right now. And then once again, continuing to build wealth outside of retirement accounts. So if your only place of saving is in a retirement account, I would highly recommend you think about diversifying. And making sure, 6 months to a year worth of your fixed expenses in the bank account, because for especially the more niche, higher level positions, going through job change, it's not a month or 2 months. It could take 6 months to a year to find that next position. So the more
Correct.
liquid cash you have buys you time. And I think that's the other thing I work with, Mike, is helping provide people the time and space and money to make the best decisions for them. A lot of people are forced to make quick, rash decisions because of money.
Yes, yes. And I can tell you that quick rash decisions don't always mean the best decision. So you give a lot of financial clarity, which reduces anxiety, which reduces stress, which gives comfort and security. I love that. Well, I appreciate your time, Danielle. What's the easiest way for people to get a hold of you if they were listening and wanted to follow up?
So we are on all the socials. Everwell Financial is on Facebook and Instagram. Our website is Everwell, Ever, well, Well financial spelled out.com. So everwellfinancial.com. Or you can give us a call at 239-288-7054. Once again, 239-288-7054. And we would love to connect. We currently have clients in 26 states. We love working on Zoom. 75% of our work is actually done out of the state of Florida because our clients have referred us to friend, family, coworkers across the nation. And I like to say I was Zooming before COVID. So I've always had a very strong virtual practice. Love working with people in different states.
I love that. And basically you have built a good business through referrals, which tells me you've got a good client experience. You're taking care of people. They know you, like you, and trust you. So hopefully we have exposed you to some people that weren't aware of your services, and they'll reach out. And then in a few years, they'll come back and tell me, hey, I'm glad you had Danielle.
Mike, can I just add one more thing?
Of
I
course.
think what I enjoy most about what I do, and learned this early on, is I'm an open book about what I do for myself. And I don't think that's true with a lot of advisors.
Right.
And so if someone wants to understand how did I just buy two condos on Sanibel and afford afford the down payments and the construction costs before they're back up and running? What do I do for my own benefits plan for my firm? I truly am an open book. So I think it's important for clients to realize that if we're in same income bracket, age, goal structure, that I practice what I preach and I stand by it. And I think that's really important and something I hold true to and am very proud of.
Yeah, which is refreshing to hear, especially in the day and age of social media where it's really easy for people to create a narrative that isn't necessarily truthful. So that's wonderful. I appreciate your time. I hope you have the best of days and
Thank
best
you
of
for
luck.
having me on. I appreciate it.
You got it. You got it. Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.